Presiding Officer, back in April this year, the Parliament agreed to the Standards, Procedures and Public Appointments Committee's proposal for a committee bill to amend the Members' Interest Act. The bill and its accompanying documents were introduced on the 27th of May. I'm very pleased to return to the Chamber today to invite the Parliament to agree to the general principles of this committee bill. Accordingly, I move motion number S4M-14375 in my name. The overall aim of the bill is to amend the Interests Act to ensure that information about MSPs' financial interests is transparent and accessible. The bill combines two existing reporting processes to assist MSPs in complying with requirements to report donations. The proposals in the bill would also strengthen the sanctions available to Parliament to deal with any breaches to the rules set out in the Interests Act, widen the scope of the offence of paid advocacy, and extend the length of time that the Parliament may retain members' registers of interest. I will speak in my closing remarks about this aspect of the bill later this afternoon. Turning first to the proposals to eliminate dual reporting. MSPs currently have to report financial interests in two places: to the Electoral Commission under the Political Parties, Elections and Referendums Act, otherwise known as PPERA, and to the Parliament. There is an overlap between the two regimes, which results in the dual reporting of certain financial interests. The bill before us today makes the necessary changes to the Parliament's register so that dual reporting can be ended, bringing the reporting requirements into a single place for MSPs. This would make information about MSPs' financial interests more easily available to the public, and it will be beneficial for a number of other reasons. Information on MSPs' financial interests could be found in a single place on the Parliament's website, where you would expect to find it. MSPs would only have to register in one place and can now receive advice on all their interests from parliamentary officials, the clerks to the committee. In addition, all complaints about an MSP not meeting the reporting requirements would be dealt with in a single way. They'd be dealt with in future by the Commissioner for Ethical Standards in Public Life in Scotland. This will make the process easier to navigate for the public, for MSPs, and with anyone with any interest whatsoever in the process. A single process for all MSPs, for all complaints, for all compliance. The approach in the bill has been to leave the Parliament's existing regime as undisturbed as possible, while incorporating the donations and transactions that are currently reportable under PPERA. However, the changes included in the bill to bring the two regimes together in one place do make the Interests Act much more complex. The bill adjusts the definition of gifts and the definition of overseas visits, and a new category has been added for loans and certain other transactions. The bill also adds an additional layer of rules on the aggregation of interests with a combined value of over £1,500. The overall approach has been to limit the changes we propose, wherever possible, to interests with a single or combined value in excess of the £1,500 threshold, which has come originally from the PPERA. The current framework for ending dual reporting in the Electoral Administration Act of 2006 does not extend to independent MSPs. As that Act stands, dual reporting can only be ended for members of registered political parties and not for independent members. The bill we'll be debating today contains an amendment to that Act which will allow dual reporting to be ended for all MSPs. The committee has included this provision in the bill so that all MSPs are treated in the same way, and I know that this is something that the presiding officer herself feels very strongly about. And as the convener of the SPPA committee, I've talked to all those in the current Parliament who might be affected, and indeed my last meeting with the late Margaret MacDonald MSP a month before she died, when I visited her at home, was precisely to discuss the effect of what we are proposing today with her, as with all other members. And I may say she was in remarkably good spirit, and my 3 minutes on this subject extended to a full hour while we discussed current political topics. No surprise there whatsoever. It would be unfair if independent members were required to continue with dual reporting when the system had been streamlined for MSPs who are members of political parties. Let me now address the changes to sanctions that are also included in the bill. The Scotland Act 2012 introduced changes to Section 39 of the Scotland Act 1998 to give the Parliament greater flexibility in determining what sanctions are appropriate for breaches of the members' interest regime and the paid advocacy prohibition. Our bill largely restates the existing criminal offence. The provisions on parliamentary sanctions in the Interests Act are currently limited to excluding a member from proceedings in the Parliament or restricting participation in proceedings on matters in relation to which there has been a breach. The bill makes clear that a full range of parliamentary sanctions will be available if an MSP fails to register or declare an interest or undertakes paid advocacy. It includes a provision for a range of parliamentary sanctions that are broadly equivalent to some of the measures that are available to the Parliament where it withdraws a member's rights and privileges, for example, in respect of a breach of the Code of Conduct. This approach ensures consistency with Section 39, which envisages further provision on sanctions being made in or under an Act of the Scottish Parliament. The committee believes that it is vital that a wide range of sanctions is available to the Parliament for dealing with breaches of the Interests Act and the Code of Conduct. Sanctions available to Parliament must be sufficiently stringent for it to respond effectively to breaches of the rules and to discourage such breaches in the first place. The bill ensures that a broad range of sanctions is available to the Parliament, including potentially removing all allowances or salary. This change demonstrates that the Parliament has the tools to deal effectively with any breaches to the Interests Act. Paid advocacy is where an individual uses their position as an MSP to advocate a particular matter in return for payment, including benefit in kind, or to urge any other MSP to do so. It's a criminal offence and a breach of the Interests Act for an MSP to undertake paid advocacy, but no MSP has ever been found to breach these rules. The committee is very clear, given the gravity with which paid advocacy should be treated, that the criminal offence for paid advocacy is appropriate. Our consultation paper proposed the definition should be amended for greater consistency with the Bribery Act 2010. Particular note to the committee was the incorporation of the act of agreeing to receive inducements within the offence of being bribed under Section 2 of the Bribery Act. The paid advocacy offence currently requires actual receipt. It does not incorporate payments or benefits in kind that a member agrees to receive. Our bill amends the definition of paid advocacy, so by agreeing to receive inducements as well as actually receiving them, there would be an offence. It would be a breach of the Act. The bill introduces a new sanction that the Parliament should be able to agree a motion of censure. I will speak more about this in my closing remarks. I believe the provisions of this bill will increase transparency for the public, make it easier for members to ensure that they comply with the rules, and create a more robust standards regime. Presiding Officer.